Welcome back. This is another exciting episode of Mr. Takeda is teaching Math 7 this year. And this is lesson 8.1 on circles and circumference, in which we ask the essential question, how can you find the circumference of a circle? Well, before we begin, we got a little vocabulary to look at here. So first of all is this idea of pi. This little Greek letter thing here, I'm going to write it, it's going to look like that. Or sometimes if I can get that squiggle in there, I'll do something like that. We call this pi. And what pi is, it's a Greek letter, and we use it to represent the ratio between a circle's circumference, the distance around, and its diameter. Okay, so for any circle, this ratio is the same. If I take any circle's circumference and divide it by its diameter, I am going to get approximately 3.14, because this is what we call an irrational number. These decimals will go on forever and ever and ever and never repeat, and they'll never terminate. And as a fraction, we represent 22/7. So if you had a circle with a diameter of 7 inches, its circumference would be approximately 22 inches. And in case you're short on these vocabulary words, let me back up here a second. The word circumference is the distance around. It's kind of like a perimeter of a circle. The distance around is the circumference. Okay, so make sure you get that word, and that's distance around. Other things that we have to make sure we talk about: a circle, it's the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a point called the center. Okay, so if you have any point, all the points out here are the same distance from this. So we call this the center, and all these points are called the circle. Now, some people, even math teachers, will sometimes say that they're, if you fill this all in, the whole thing is a circle. That's not true. It's only this outside circumference that is called the circle. It's the set of all the points that are the same distance from this given center point. Okay, and then we got a couple other words we make sure we talk about. I'm going to start over here. Diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. Okay, so it's this distance, but it has to go through the center. But the radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. Okay, so it's essentially half of a diameter, and that's what we have down here. The radius is the diameter divided by 2, or you can think of the diameter as 2 times any radius. Okay. So just make sure we have these ideas, that the radius is half of a diameter and the diameter is 2 times the radius. Okay, so let's take a look if we can put those ideas to work here, and a couple examples here. Number 1 says the diameter of the circle is 20 feet. Find the radius. Okay, so I know that the diameter equals 2 times the radius, or the radius equals the diameter times 2. Okay, so since we're finding the radius, I'm going to use this second relationship over here. And I'm going to say the radius is equal to the diameter, which was 20 feet. And that's what this diagram indicates. The diameter is 20 feet. So it goes through the center. 20 divided by 2. So my radius is going to be 10. And so it's 10 feet. Okay. Letter B, the radius of the circle is 7 meters. Find the diameter. Since we're finding the diameter, I think I want to use this one. Right? So the diameter equals 2 times the radius, but the radius here is 7, so it's only from the center to the outside. So my diameter equals 14. This is meters, 14 meters. Okay, pretty easy, right? Diameter, to find the radius from the diameter, you just divide the radius by 2. And to find the diameter from the radius, you multiply the radius by 2. Try this one. The radius of a circle is 15 millimeters. Find the diameter. Okay, so freeze it here if you need to. Get this into your notebook, and I'll meet you on the next screen right here. Oh, this is for in class, sorry. Okay, so here we're going to visit the word circumference now. So I introduced it earlier because I needed to use it in my talk about what pi was. But again, so this is a little bit of a repeat from what I said on the earlier screen. The value of pi is approximated as 3.14 or 22 over 7, 22 divided by 7. And so in algebra, so since pi is equal to the circumference divided by the diameter, I can multiply both sides by d, right? I can multiply both sides by d. Then I can say that the circumference is equal to pi times d, which is this one here. And since d is equal to 2 times the radius, I can say that the circumference is 2 pi r, because 2 times the radius equals d. So all we're doing here is substituting an expression 2 times r in place of d in this one, right? That's the difference. That's the difference between, I don't say different, that's a subtraction. That's how these two are related. They took the d out and they replaced it with a 2 times r. The fact that they're not together doesn't make a difference. Okay, so finding the circumference of a circle, find the circumference of this frisbee, flying disc, use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so I know my circumference is going to be circumference equals pi circumference equals pi times d, or circumference equals pi times 2r, right? You can put these in any order. It doesn't matter. I know they had 2 pi r on the previous screen, but I just wanted to show you that d and 2r are the same thing. Since they're giving us the radius here, I think I'm going to use this one. So circumference equals pi times 2 times 5. Okay, so circumference equals pi times 10. Now it says use 3.14 for pi. So my last step, I'm going to substitute 3.14 for pi and multiply that by 10. So the circumference will be 31.4 inches. All right. So it's a matter of what? Choosing the easier formula to use, substituting in, and then simplifying, using our order of operations to simplify. Okay, so this example, it says find the circumference of the watch, but this time we're going to use 22 over 7, 22 sevenths for pi. And now they're giving us a diameter. So the circumference equals pi d, right? Pi d. So I can substitute 22 over 7. And diameter is 28. Okay. So this should be fairly easy because 28 divided by 7 is what? 28 divided by 7 is 4. So this is 22 times 4. I just did this part first. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So 22 times 4. So the circumference will be 88. And that's in millimeters. 88 millimeters. All right. Try this one. I think this can be done pretty much the same way. So try that one. Pause the video and join me on the next screen. Okay. So, I'm sorry, that's for a class. Estimating a diameter. Okay. So the circumference of this roll of caution tape decreases 10.5 inches after a construction worker uses some of the tape, which is the best estimate of the diameter of the roll after the decrease. Okay, so it's starting at 31.4 and it's being decreased by 10.5. I must use a lot of this stuff. So 14 minus 5 is 9. That leaves that as 0, so 0 minus 0 is 0. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So about 21. I'm gonna say it's about 21 inches. It's about 21 inches, and that's the circumference. Now remember, circumference equals what? Pi times d, since we're looking for the diameter, right? So 21 equals 3.14 times d. So the approximation here is, look, 21 divided by 3, it's going to be about 7, right? So it's about, remember, it's kind of the diameter times 3, a little bit more than 3, is going to give us the circumference. So I think this is just a little quick exercise to see how you can approximate this. So since we're going down to about 21 inches, divided by about 3, it's going to give us about 7 inches. It can't be 5, that's too small. 10 is too big. Okay, that's for class. Finding the perimeter of a semicircular region. Okay, so a semicircle, a new word, is half of a circle. So we're going to find the perimeter here. So since I have a, so I need to find the whole circle, take half of it, and then add the 6. Okay, so I'm going to take half a circle plus 6 in this case. Okay, so my circumference is going to be pi times 6, right? Diameter 6. Pi times 6. So my circumference will be 3.14 times 6 divided by 2. And actually, I put the circumference divided by 2, but that's not really the circumference anymore, is it? So let's go honest here. 3.14 times the circumference, if the whole circle was there, would be 18.84. Okay, but I only want half of it. So 18.84 divided by 2. 9.42, and so that's the distance. That's this distance here. And now to that I'm going to add the 6. So 9.42 plus 6, 15.42 meters. Right, 15.42 meters. So that's it for this lesson. We'll do some more. We'll follow up in class, but kind of get these big ideas into your notes, right? You come to class. See you.